Okay, welcome to this Friday Brunch Dharma Talk, 1st of May. I want to continue with the investigation of dependent origination. Now, the question that we are going to ask is that why do we want to investigate dependent origination? What's the benefit? What's the benefit of doing it? What do we gain? What do we learn? Now, the first thing is when we read about how the process of dependent origination proceeds, and how Bhante says that you're going to start investigating from the very strongest part of the dependent origination, which is becoming, and then slowly down from becoming, clinging to craving to feeling, and feeling to contact. Now, the first thing that we gain is that we learn to find out the cause, the exact cause. When we become fearful, right? The first thing we want to investigate is this clinging to this fear, right? How we keep clinging to this fear, or clinging to hate, and we become fearful, right? So, in investigating the cause of it, we don't search for any other cause other than clinging. So when we are in a stage of clinging, we want to see the previous cause, which is craving for the object. You want to see how we crave for the object and arrive to clinging, how we cling to the object and arrive to becoming. So the same thing when we are in a state of craving, we want to see how we like the object, like or dislike the object, right? So when we investigate the cause according to dependent origination. We do not try to find the cause in any other way. Whether we say, oh yes, because my mind is in this particular state, or through psychology, or through other knowledges. We use dependent origination, right? Strictly dependent origination. So first of all, we got to know what state we're in. If we have become, then we know that we have been clinging. And we try to see how we are clinging to it, how we are craving to it, how we like or dislike a particular object. So the first benefit is knowing directly the cause. And the second benefit when we do that, we can see how our mind changes, how our heart changes from liking to craving to clinging and to becoming. And we can see that when we become, it ceases as well. It stays for a while and then it ceases if we don't hold on to it. Same with clinging. Clinging arises, it stays, and then it ceases. If we don't hold on to it. If we hold on to it, we keep on to the clinging. Same with the craving. It arises, it stays, and then it loses its energy. And it ceases. But if we keep the thought in mind, we keep holding on to the object of craving, then the craving arises, stays, ceases, and arises again. So there's a kind of continuity in that. So it's the same thing with feeling. Feeling arises, stays for a while, and then it ceases. But we keep holding on to that feeling. Then it rises, stays, and then ceases, arises, stays, and then it's continuous. We really keep holding on to that feeling. And when that feeling becomes intense, then it gets promoted to craving. So when we hold on to the craving and become intense, it becomes clinging. And the same thing happens with clinging. Right? It promotes to becoming. So we can see none of these things are permanent. It appears permanent because we do not know that we are actually holding on to it. Right? So when we can see this process of holding, we realize none of this part of the process can stand on its own. It rises up, it stays for a bit, and it loses its energy. So from there we can see the impermanence of all things. That we have to put an effort to hold on to things. And the trouble is that we do that. We like it. We like the feeling. We keep on holding on to the feeling. We're craving for an object. We like the object. We keep holding on to the object. That's the craving arises, wanting the object. Same attachment with the object. We love the object. And then we become. When we see this process in every situation, where it starts from contact, feeling, craving, clinging, and then becoming. When we keep seeing that, then we see how we work, how this process go about. And we feel hopeless, right? We cannot control, it's a process. Then we become to be aware of this idea of I, of self, right? That all this process goes on by itself without involving the self, without involving I. And I has no power to stop this process. There is no stage in which I can intervene. The process goes depending on the intensity of the previous condition until it reaches becoming. And when it reaches the stage of becoming, then the I takes the becoming as itself. So what can we do? There is only one thing that can stop this process, and that's mindfulness. Mindfulness of the state we are in, and not let it progress to the next state. When we feel that we like this thing, there's this feeling of liking this thing. We want to stay with that liking and let it cease. We do not want to keep on holding on to the liking. Do not want to intensify that liking. Once we do that, it becomes craving. Craving for the object. When we crave for the object, when we crave to eat something, stay with that craving, right? And then try to let go of that craving. Let it cease. Don't hold on to it. Let it cease. That's the only way you can do it. The first thing is you have to have the mindfulness to know what state you are in. Right? And that comes to constant practice of mindfulness. We're collecting mindfulness in your everyday life. Mindful of what you're breathing. Mindful of what you're thinking. Mindful of what you're feeling. Mindful of what you're doing. mindful of what you're speaking. So we make it a habit to raise mindfulness all the time. Whatever mindfulness that we have now, we can and must develop it to walking meditation and sitting meditation. That's when our mindfulness becomes strong. And when mindfulness becomes strong and we recollect it often, then we have a good chance of arresting this process of dependent origination. If we practice and our mindfulness is constant, we can see this process of dependent origination. But if our mindfulness is not strong, we cannot reach a state of clear comprehension. We have to increase the strength of the mindfulness so we can reach the state of clear comprehension. Clear comprehension is clearly comprehending what's in front of you. That's all. When we reach this deep state of clear comprehension, then knowing arises, the wisdom arises. We know what to do. We know what's appropriate thing to say, appropriate thing to do. And we respond to the situation with knowledge, with wisdom. When we don't have that mindfulness, strong mindfulness, and the wisdom that arises, then we react with our habitual way. We just react to the mental identity that we have formulated, our prejudices. So when we see further into this dependent origination, then we start to investigate the cause of all this problem. And what is it? It is the creation of this mental identity of the object or the person. The person could be another person. The person could be us, ourselves. How we create a mental identity of ourselves. We don't create this mental identity in an hour or in a day. We spend years and years, creating our own mental identity. We spend a lot of time creating other people's identity. And that's when they become very strong. So we come to know that this mental identity of things and of people are the things that's causing us problems. We create something we like, it leads to attachment. It leads to addiction. We create something that we don't like, it leads to aversion. It leads to hate, and it leads to fear. So it's all this creation of this mental identity. And believing this mental identity is the actual thing that we see in this world. It's the actual thing that we experience in this world. It is not. It is our own creation. So the way out is to deconstruct the identity, to change the identity, to identify and say, this identity, I'm not sure. It is prejudicial. It is not a true reflection of what the world is. All these three ways. Best example is the identity of ourselves or other people, the body of ourselves, other people's body, our own body. So what is the body? The Buddha teaches us it is made up of 32 parts. You can identify the body as making up of 32 parts. But no, we go and create an identity of a body that's beautiful, a body that's not beautiful, and then we react to it. We create an identity that the body will last, that the body doesn't change, that the body is always healthy. There's nothing wrong with the body. And then we suffer when the body of the world do not match us with our idea of our own body. And the same with other people's body. We are shocked when somebody suddenly dies, You're shocked when somebody suddenly falls ill, because that's not part of how the identity that we create. So you want to create a realistic identity. A realistic identity that the body is such and such. Contains 32 parts of the body. 32 parts. It doesn't smell nice. It doesn't look nice. And it changes. And when it reaches its peak, it will deteriorate. One day one of the organs will fail. So that is a realistic identity of our body. And we truly represent what is in the world. So every identity that we have in our mind, we have to modify it. Modify it so it becomes realistic. That things are impermanent. That things themselves do not have any essence. That the essence that we see in things are the things that we create in our mind. Things like beautiful, ugliness, tasty, so on. So when we do that, we will come to know things as they are. Things as they are impermanent, do not have any essence, and holding on to it will cause suffering. When we come to know this thing, we come to use and relate to things as it should be. We don't have any attachment to it. Nor are we adverse to it. So we come to an equanimous position. We have this neutrality towards things. If it works, that's fine. If it doesn't work, that's its nature. If it deteriorates, that's the way all is go. One day it cannot work, it dies. That is part of the process. That's the end of the process. So we come to know and see this information in things that are outside in this world and in things that within ourselves and things that belong to ourselves. When we come to this state of seeing things as they are, then we naturally go into the state of this dispassion. You're dispassionate with things. Dispassion means not having either craving for it, liking for it, or aversion to it. And when we don't do that, then the feeling that's within us is one of the four Brahma Viharas. So we are either equanimous to that thing, and we have metta towards the person, we have compassion towards the person, or we have mudita, joy in the joy of others. So when we reach the state of dispassion, then we can truly let go of the things. And that's vimutti. And when we reach the state of letting go, we come to a state, asavakayena, which means we come to investigate and know that we've actually let go of the thing, that we've actually no longer have any attachment to a particular thing. So we have to go through all these stages. Usually these stages happens when you become an Arya. And these stages happen Okay, now I'm going to chant transference of merit. You've listened to Dhamma today, you've understood, hopefully it changes your view. So with the merit that you have gathered today, you want to transfer the merit to your departed relative. You get your bonus merit. Yatha varivaha pura paripurente sagaram evam eva ito dinam pertanam upakapati ichitam patitam tumham kipam eva samijatu sape purentu sankapa chando panaraso yatha manijoti raso yatha Sapitiyo vivajantu saparogo vinasatu mate pavanvantarayo sukhi dikayuko bhava apiva tanasili sanijam buddha pachayino chataro dhamma vadanti ayuvano sukhang Balang bhavatu sabba mangalang akantu sabba devata sabba buddhanupavena satha soti bhavantu te bhavatu sabba mangalang akantu sabba devata sabba dhammanupavena satha soti bhavantu te Bhavatu sabba mangalang rakantu sabba devata sabba sanghanu bhavena satha soti bhavantu te.